This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games. It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
Anthony for three. Bang!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast, episode number 59. I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus.
And I'm Ruckus the Menace.
And in this episode, we'll be going through the finale of the Stanley Cup Finals in the NHL, as I'll explain that here soon. And then we have the College World Series Omaha update. And then we'll be going over other headlines for the week. And then we'll be going through our Eastwood segment, wah wah wah. And then we'll be going through our high heat, which is the MLB mid-season grades. More so like early grades, but it is almost midway, since I think the All-Star game is like in mid-July or something like that. Anyways.
Yeah, it's in July, I know that. But we are kind of like, or MLB grades as of June.
Yeah. And then we'll be teasing our primetime game for next episode as well. We'll talk about that later in the episode. And then our stun of the week. All right, Spennis, how have you been?
Oh, I'll say things have been up and down, but the biggest thing will be is that upon next week, I will have had my first day at a new job. So that shouldn't play too much into the content. It just now will synchronize the wife and I a little bit more, and also do a little bit of a better job of synchronizing Ruckus and I. As really the biggest difference is only a half an hour's difference.
Yeah.
In some things. So really we could just kind of get started. It may allow us to kind of get started a little earlier if Ruckus doesn't decide to take a nap.
I mean, aren't you guilty of this too a little bit?
I at least try to prioritize having time with my wife. Which
true.
is, just making my wife a priority before the pod is kind of essential. So it's one of those things where it's like, if I can kind of go, hey, kind of, we're going to try and get started a little earlier than we normally do. But what it was that for my taking a nap, I was getting off at 2 and I crashed so hard today.
But, yeah, dude, I blame the Whataburger today for making me crash hard. All those carbs, it's so good. Dude, Whataburger, if you've never had it, go and get some. You'll thank me later.
I could say that I've never had it because I'm on the East Coast. Our best thing as far as a burger, like our highest quality thing as far as a burger, is a Five Guys. So.
Oh, that's like artery clogging there.
Yeah.
Dude, their French fries.
We're on the East Coast.
I love how
East Coast is Five Guys. Pretty much the South is like the lower South is the Whataburger area. The great north of Midwest area is Culver's, and then the West Coast is primarily In-N-Out.
Yeah. I just love how Five Guys, whenever you ask for fries, they literally give you a whole bag's worth. They do not skimp on the fries.
They don't skimp on the fries, but the only issue that really is there with Five Guys is that I don't know how Whataburger prices are. But Five Guys prices are really, really like it. You're getting what you pay for off of it, but the prices too oftentimes are a little bougie for the blood over here.
It's probably like depending on how many people are ordering Whataburger, it's probably like $20 for two people. Um, or
Okay,
but really, actually,
I
it's
could do.
probably more like $30 for two people. But yeah, like for me, it was like 14 usually, or $12, because I would
No, the
just get the
problem
number.
is that Five Guys over here, everything is paid for a la carte.
Yeah, I think they
You
do the.
don't get
I think that's universal.
for Five Guys, but Whataburger, it seems like you get meal deals.
I was just saying, like, I think for Five Guys all over the
Yeah,
country. I wasn't saying for
yeah,
Whataburger as well or
but
any
you're
other
paying
place.
for every single item a la carte.
Yeah.
And do I honestly think that's fair? No, I really don't. And that's just because you could still make an incredible amount of profit even if you combine everything into a meal, because you're combining it into a meal still does it still puts in work. It's just you're kind of you'd be able to get more food out, which then would be more meal deal kind of things. But I think Whataburger, I've heard a lot of great things about it, and I still gotta eventually hit. I might still have to hit a Culver's. I can't remember if I've done that one,
Culver's is pretty
but I
good. Their root beers to
but
die for too. That stuff's good.
yeah, I just can't remember if I've done that one. But I know that I have done. I have done a. I've done a white. Ironically enough, a White Castle.
I don't
But
recall doing White
I
Castle, but I
don't
think I've tried a burger from them from like the like frozen
like those
burgers.
frozen packs. Oh, uh, yeah. For me, just White Castle ain't it. Like it's on the lower tier for me. White Castle is stick with the chicken, because the chicken stuff is a little bit feels a little bit more like solidified. I mean, if I were to get the White Castle sliders with like no onions and things like that, okay, I might consider trying it
Dude, the only thing I like
again.
about White Castle is the Harold and
It was the Harold
Kumar.
and Kumar movies. Yep, it's stoner food. White Castle burgers are stoner food.
You're not
Taco
wrong.
Bell is stoner food.
The title for this episode: Taco Bell is stoner food. Just no context. Everyone's just like, wait, this is supposed to be sports. Why are we talking about stoners?
I mean, am I wrong about the concept though?
No, I just think it's kind of funny that this has got way out of control really quick, and usually I'm the one that causes the ruckus on the show.
Oh, but as far as other things for me, doing a little D&D with some friends of mine around here. Of trying to squeeze in time for any bit of gaming and sleep. I played in a Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering pre-release event Friday night and actually finished 6th in the event, running a very unique, like, compared to what a lot of people were running at the event that I was in. I was running something that was like very off the wall. Like I was seeing, because if you know how magic works, there's 5 colors: red, green, blue, black, and white.
Okay.
And most of the time in a pre-release, you want to run about 2 color combinations. But some people have found that they can work in splashing a 3rd color. I ended up actually at this pre-release just seeing the cards I pulled out of my packs, and I'm like, I have to go 3 colors and actually make it a pretty balanced 3 colors. So I actually, out of everybody there, I was the only person running red, green, white and I went 2-1. So that kind of felt good that I'm like, I felt confident in what I was trying to build off of the deck based off of the cards I had, and was able to work a lot of it along, and it felt good.
Yep. As far as what I've been doing, I finally, for the like of me, watched John Wick 4 and Creed 3. Both are very good movies. I think I liked John Wick 4 the most out of the movies I watched recently, mainly because of the brutal fight scenes, but I also just like how they like kind of ended the movie. I thought it was
Well,
pretty
John
good.
Wick 4 has been, the John Wicks I've heard have been like about incredible storytelling.
Dude,
Like,
as far as storytelling, it's more so like a slapstick kind of comedy way of things, like how logic goes for it. Because like there's like scenes in the movie where like he'll get attacked in his own home or whatever, and then like when the aftermath is done, like there's like a scene where the officer or detective, or I think it was just like a contractor that was like looking to like help him clean up his house of like a bunch of bad guys' dead bodies or something like that. But most of the time they're like, John, are you back in the game? And he's like, kind of. And then there's just like a dead body in his like hallway or something like that. And
yeah.
then, um, or like there'll be like a cop and it's like, is everything okay in here, John? And they're like, and he's like, yeah, I think we're good. And then like, it's just funny slapstick stuff like that. Or like in the beginning, like in the first movie or second movie, I think, uh, the main like crime boss guy is like warning everybody about how like bad and intense John Wick could be, and he was like, he stabbed him in the face with a fucking pencil, a fucking pencil.
Oh yeah. Oh man, and of course our D&D session, like we ended up having the last enemy cleared out because a halfling in the area that we were in killed the rat that I was trying to eradicate, that was capturing one of the party members that we had. Killed the last rat with a potato.
A potato.
A potato. And I'm a fighter in this, and I'm trying to go through. It's like I can't hit him, but yeah, I'm like, seriously, of all the things that could have killed this rat, a potato to the head.
Shout out
I'm
to
like,
the
what
people
is
that
this game?
understood. Shout out to the people that
What?
understood that meme reference of a potato.
I was like, what is this game? But I also saw Fast 10.
I haven't seen
And
that yet.
it is scary good how Jason Momoa plays a villain.
I mean, I like that the most recent thing I saw Momoa in was that Super Bowl commercial where he's like, I like this is what me after I like to unwind, and he like rips all the muscles off and he just turns into like this like skinny hippie guy playing a guitar. Do you remember that commercial?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I know that Jason Momoa, like just as an actor, it's the biggest laud that really comes about from Fast 10. Um I think that the franchise really has gone over the top again. Tyrese's comic relief is but there were things that were funny. John Cena in the movie when he's dealing with being the Funkle.
Wait, you can't even see him, so why would he be a focal point in the movie?
Oh, it wasn't a focal point. He was funny. He was funny in the movie
Do you understand the
because
reference?
I knew where you were going
I
because everybody because of his usual thing which actually the hand motion involved with that was inspired from a Tony Yayo video. No, and not even kidding you, he actually gained inspiration from that from a Tony Yayo video, and has given Yayo credit for it. But just the fact that it went big because of him and being Cena. Cena giving credit where credit was due was actually good. But the funny part involved with that, and you'll have to see the movie to kind of like catch on to it, is that of course he's in this old beat up old car with his nephew, and it has a tape player, like pretty much it's a tape player instead of a CD player. So he puts in the one tape, and it's Marky Mark. And the song that plays out of it's Marky Mark's Good Vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as that went, I started cracking up. Because I caught the tie. I caught the tie of the two ends being put together as to why in the world would this play? And catching the parallels just made me laugh. And just like, was this planned or was this not?
Yeah. Are we ready to start this lineup?
Yeah. Let's get right into the sport realm.
All right. I'll start with the NHL. So, the Stanley Cup Finals. Finally, someone can use the Dawn dish soap to clean up that Stanley Cup. And that team is the Golden Knights, as in Game 5. It was all Golden Knights. And my question to the Panthers is, what to chuck? As in the first period of Game 5, Mark Stone and Nicholas Hague start the first period with a 2-0 lead with 2 goals each. Aaron Ekblad of the Panthers trying to get something. Well, here comes the Knights as Alex Martinez, Riley Smith, Mark Stone again as he scored 2, or his second goal, and Michael Amadio with the creator of a 6-1 lead. God damn! And then the Panthers just looked bad from the start and ended up being slain by the Knights 9-3 as Mark Stone led the night with 3 goals. And I ask again, what to chuck?
I think a lot of this was due to the Florida Panthers running out of gas. Because I think if you're really going to say a lot of it here, how many games leading up to this cup did the Golden Knights really have that went into deep overtime? I think let alone multiple overtimes.
That is true.
How many,
they also
like,
didn't have...
I think it was a lot of... I think the Florida Panthers were more tired from pretty much having to deal with the Hurricanes because that was a great battle the whole way.
And also, an inside source that I had from a coworker that actually pays more attention to NHL than I do was saying that Tkachuk is more of like a trash talker. So when it came to those series, he would like get in like the head of the opponent and actually succeed with it. In this series, the Knights did not care at all. They mainly just suppressed it. So his trash talking didn't really do him any good for the team. This whole
he's kind of the team's enforcer, and kind of like for the Capitals, that's what Tom Wilson is. Except Tom Wilson's a hitter.
So he's like Shoresy from Letterkenny.
I don't know if you would completely say that, but I mean, a lot of people question like how clean Tom Wilson's hits are.
Yeah, But yeah, that is the Stanley Cup. Congratulations to the Vikings for getting that little dab of Dawn dish soap on the Stanley Cup and washing it and then drinking out of it.
All right. And now we move on to Omaha, Nebraska,
Omaha!
where the College World Series has taken off. And really, I will have the major updates that are going on for the next 4 day or for the last 4 days, and we will then also have where some things continue on Friday, and this is where 8 teams were at. Oral Roberts defeated TCU 6-5 with a 4-run top of the ninth inning. And Florida defeated UVA 6-5 in the bottom of the ninth, scoring 3 runs to rally back for the win. On Saturday, Wake Forest defeated Stanford 3-2, scoring a pair of runs in the bottom of the 8th inning. And LSU kind of kept themselves steadily throughout the game in their scoring, defeating Tennessee 6-3. On Sunday, the first team in the College World Series has been eliminated as TCU eliminated UVA 4-3. Florida also knocked Oral Roberts to the potential of elimination as they defeated the team from Tulsa 5-4. And today's action, the Stanford Cardinal were eliminated by the Tennessee Volunteers as the team in orange won 6-4. And then Wake Forest scored the go-ahead run in the bottom of the 8th for the Demon Deacons to defeat LSU 3-2 as they are now on the brink of elimination. Tomorrow's action features 2 elimination games between TCU and Oral Roberts and LSU and Tennessee. The winner of those actions, I believe it's going to be the winner of the TCU Oral Roberts game, will then go and take on Florida. And the winner of the LSU Tennessee game takes on the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. And if necessary, all right, those games will be on Wednesday, where Florida and Wake Forest will wait till Wednesday. And if necessary, both elimination games that are, if necessary, will be played on Thursday. And then, once the series is down to 2, it will be a best of 3 that will be going on from the 24th to the 26th. So, if Game 3 of this College World Series is a thing, we will have live updates next week on the next episode. So that will cover the College World Series and our time that we have covering the stuff in Omaha, Nebraska. Let's move on to the other headlines from this week. In my continuation of the NBA Finals last episode, we had kind of the breaking news of the Denver Nuggets winning the NBA championship. But the Finals MVP during time of recording had not been unveiled. The Finals MVP probably was obvious. It was the Joker, Nikola Jokic, who is now back in Serbia. Having time with his horses.
He loves horses.
Which one do you want to hit next, Ruckus? We've got about four We got 4 left.
All right, I'll start with the next one below, which is Ja Morant has been suspended 25 games for alarming conduct due to being on an Instagram live post with a gun. Not surprised there. I was thinking maybe he would be suspended for the whole season for that, but I mean, 25 games seems like a fairly good amount to be.
Yeah, it makes Ja Morant ineligible for any postseason reward or awards, or like season awards. Ja Morant would become ineligible because he does not meet the games requirement. However, the NBA Players Association is trying to counteract this and say that this suspension of 25 games is too severe. Is that it's too severe of a punishment. But yet, at the same time, like, this is twice now that some alarming footage has caught the wave.
Yeah, and if you and like especially in his past, he has not acted well either when it came to just in general issues off the field,
Yeah,
like beating up a little kid or like a younger kid.
it was a 17-year-old, so someone who was almost 18.
So still a minor, yep. At the time,
Yep.
and then like other stuff out the it's just not good, and he's pretending to be a thug, and it's not panning out. I think he
You
needs
went
to.
to you went to a school that was a small college in Kentucky. You went to kind of like the redheaded stepchild of of University of Kentucky at Lexington and Louisville. You're not hood.
Yeah, because he like displayed a blood sign in one of the games that he was in, and an actual member of that gang was interviewed about what they thought of John Morant doing that, and they're like, man, he is not like that at all. But anyways, the next one I'm gonna put in is Shannon Sharp has left Fox Sports show Undisputed. This was at like a day after the NBA Finals when Unc Sharp was talking about leaving Undisputed with Skip. And then I'll leave you with the one for WVU here in a second. I will,
Well,
and then
actually, let's go ahead and let me go ahead and fire this one off.
okay.
That unfortunately Bob Huggins has resigned. It wasn't a fired, it was he was resigned from WVU after in the wake of his arrest for a DUI in Pittsburgh on Friday. It was
DUI.
Friday night was the this also was something that drew the issues of his time in Cincinnati as a coach. What that ultimately led to his departure there. So this is now twice now. And though Bob Huggins is a great coach, it's quite alarming that he's gone through all of this multiple times.
Dude, it's like when I hear about DUIs now, there's this saying on Your Mom's House podcast. Yes, I'm shouting out Your Mom's House. There's this like soundbite they do, and it's called DUI, baby. I don't know. It's like some dude is just like super happy about getting a DUI. But anyway, that's what that reminded me
Oh
of.
my goodness. Yep. But the last major thing is that we're not even 2 weeks into the offseason. The NBA draft hasn't even started. And we're not even to the point of free agency. And a major blockbuster trade has happened. Or is
Kinda
set to
glad.
happen.
It's already set in stone.
That Bradley Beal will be dealt to the Phoenix Suns for Chris Paul, who may not even play a game as a Wizard. as he will then as the plans are to try and eventually the plan may be to buy him out.
And or
Landry
trade him to the
Shamet
Clippers.
or the Lakers.
Yeah.
I think the Lakers would be the lesser surprise. There are many second round picks, and I believe there's also a pick swap in the deal too. I know that Bradley Beal has had issues with the Wizards over the recent time frame, or at least a lot of rumor speculation. But I don't know where the real benefit is for really either side of this deal. I don't see it. Unless you're seeing something that I don't.
I think we're on the same page because Bradley Beal's like trade rumors and stuff like that were like talked about for like a couple of years now. Like the early rumors were that he wanted to that he would get possibly traded to the Lakers whenever they were trying to still figure out their 3-point guy / their final piece.
Yeah.
And then that ended up being Russell Westbrook, which ended up not happening at all, or panning out, I should say.
Well, I think that deal probably favored. That deal ended up favoring the Wizards. Because I believe that was the deal that sent. That the deal that sent Kyle Kuzma over?
I think so.
Because I know there have been multiple dealings with the Wizards and the Lakers at this point. I believe that is the deal that sent Kyle Kuzma over.
But yeah, now they have Bradley Beal on their roster with Booker and Kevin Durant, and I believe DeAndre Ayton as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have to give up. They didn't have to give up DeAndre Ayton, which is
Also, Landry Shamet's a former Wichita State player. I got to see him live before. I think he might have actually been like a UTFA uh, with from Wichita State because I don't think he got drafted anywhere. I could probably
yeah
just look
that
that up
trade.
really quick.
Yeah, that trade with Westbrook to or from the Wizards to the Lakers sent Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, and Kentavious Caldwell Pope to DC.
Okay, I lied. He was round 1, pick 26 for
Yeah.
and I think that was with the Clippers. Oh, by the 76ers. Yeah. He played college basketball for Wichita State and then was selected 26 overall by the 76ers. That checks out.
All right. Yep.
All
And
right.
now it is time to get to our Eastwood segment: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay.
And you heard
So,
that, so haha.
do we really? I think we really need to stick with basketball at this point because in just proper segue and kind of our main basketball point for this week was actually in our bad this week.
Go for it.
And that is Draymond Green has declined his player option and is testing free agency. This has kind of resulted in the fear that for Warriors fans that the core that has brought 4 NBA championships in Steph, Clay, and Dre is falling apart. I mean, granted that a lot of this kind of began with a simple punch to the face, and that being Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole in the face. But Draymond Green has been kind of really for the Golden State Warriors, he's been the goon. kind of that.
I think of him as Homer Simpson, just with that like facial build.
What are you saying that that he's like Homer Simpson and Donkey from Shrek having a baby together?
I wasn't gonna go that far, but you said it, not me. That's pretty accurate though. Donkey, and in the morning I'm making waffles. But was Draymond making waffles?
Oh, hopefully they don't involve nuts. Oh, but upon that being said, and all jokes aside, I think that this is alarming, but it also shows that really that we kind of have to come to grips with dynasties falling. And
Yep, it's kind of like the Patriots from yesteryear.
the Patriot, I mean, Tom Brady choosing to leave New England. It happens.
Julian Edelman no longer playing with Brady too after he left, and then
Well,
Gronk
Edelman
going
retired.
to right.
Like Edelman retired and stayed retired. Unlike two others that were involved in that offense. I said what I said.
All right.
All right, but kind of to make up for the bad, we've got the we've had the really good and something that we've really enjoyed, and we'll mention it a little bit more also later. MLB's pickoff rule. As I kind of just looked at the trend of what's kind of been going on as far as some certain stats this season. And the MLB pickoff rule has made, I will say, it has made some things in the game of baseball more entertaining because there's more manufacturing of runs by stolen bases.
Is it sad that I didn't
players.
realize that?
What?
That there was a lot more stolen bases. Like it was more of like a passive stat for me because I feel like the baseball world doesn't really look at that as much as they do like home runs and strikeouts and complete games.
Well, because everybody's wanting to hit dinger. Everybody's wanting to go yard. I mean, granted, you were probably a kid when, because you were born in '97?
Yes, sir.
You were in diapers when the home run race happened in '98.
I was hitting dingers in my pants.
It was 1998. I was 8 years old, glued to the screen as McGuire and Sosa were chasing the home run record. 2001, I was 11. I was glued to Barry Bonds in his pursuit. Little did we know that years later that all three of those guys were roided. But still. The chicks dig the long ball movement really was more so the 90s as I was growing up.
And then it was
Ricky
Big Al.
Henderson, but granted, Ricky Henderson still existed as the Man of Steel. But Ricky Henderson at that point was starting to become old. But with me saying more stolen bases to go along with my trend, over 40 players have at least 10 stolen bases this season. And I'm not talking like not all of them are known for being complete speedsters. Like there's a few slower guys getting stolen bases. I think Freddie Freeman had 9 as of the other day when I looked at it. I haven't looked at it since. But Freddie Freeman was close to having 10 stolen bases. And he ain't the fastest dude in the league. there are 2 players as of the other day that had 30 or more, with Estuary Ruiz as of the other day leading the majors with 36 stolen bases. I'm now actually going to double check that stat and see if anything updated in terms of stolen bases. But yeah, because Luis Suarez just broke back into the 400 realm. Nope, Estuary Ruiz still has 36. And I'm looking at the complete stolen base leaders. We now have, yeah, we still have 41 players right now with 10 stolen bases.
Um, isn't Tommy Edman going up the ranks as in the stolen base category too?
Tommy Edman's got 12. Tommy Edman has the same number of stolen bases right now as Trey Turner, Fernando Tatis Jr., Jake Fraley, Stephen Kwan, and Jonathan India.
Okay.
So Edman could be climbing, but Estuary Ruiz and Ronald Acuna Jr. are the 2 right now that have 30 or more. But I'm going to also get into the ugly this week. And this was downright ugly on multiple levels. The extracurriculars involved during the matchup in the CONCACAF Nations League semifinal, though the USMNT men's national team soccer-wise won the Nations League in beating Canada in the final. This was not without a lot of things happening in the semis between them and Mexico. There were 2 times in the matchup between the USMNT and El Tri that the game had to stop. That was stopped due to mass brawls. 4 players, and it looked like from where it was at, it was 2 on each side. It was Weston McKinney and Serginho Dest for the US, and for El Tri, Cesar Montes and Gerardo Arteaga were ejected with red cards during the match. The Salvadorian ref Yvonne Barton also ended the game early due to the crowd on in a section where Mexico was chanting homophobic chants. And just all of these particular things as a whole are it's super ugly to see. And do I condone a lot of things involving homosexuality? No. But do I think that there are some things that still these people need to be treated with still the same love, respect, and just treat them like they're actual people and not use that as a thing to judge them? Absolutely. And the lack of respect and the complete disregard of respect in terms of that, and just knowing that people whether they be straight or gay are still competitors.
Yeah.
Are still competitors. They're still athletes. And there shouldn't be any discrimination of just because this person is this way, that this person is not a competitor, that this person is not talented in competing in their particular thing.
Yeah, I see what you mean, Spanish.
And sports needs to be a culture that, granted, the ones that love it are the heterosexual male in more cases than not.
Yeah.
But there are people, and a diverse amount, that it shouldn't matter, that sports is a culture that needs to be for everybody, and it does not matter male or doesn't matter male or female, straight or gay. That this is what sports needs to be: a culture of diversity, inclusion, and to let people play. To let people play and to help cultivate talent despite lifestyles.
Yeah. I've always kind of wondered if um the WNBA and the NBA could collaborate and like have uh those players play together. But I don't know.
That I think has its own. The bad news is that has its own can of worms.
Yeah.
It's not like tennis or golf where you could kind of get away with. And I think tennis, it's a little more common because of the type of game as a whole, where I believe most of these major tennis tournaments also have a mixed doubles category. Like there are sports where I feel like you could get away with the mixed doubles or the interactivity of male and female players at the same time playing. I do not believe that the sport of basketball, due to the sheer pace of tempo, is necessarily at the professional level one of them. But there are things where, yeah, your kid's growing up and a young girl has a lot of great talent and a want to for certain things because as far as playing basketball in a neighborhood growing up, she's playing with the boys. Like there are some things like that where that can occur. I just don't think in terms of a professional thing, just due to that side being such a business end, that some of those things are as beneficial for certain sports, especially contact sports.
Yeah. To so yeah, I do agree that with what you're saying, Spanish, as far as where as the main topic of discussion was like we don't condone negativity when it comes to bigotry or whatever as
Or
far
the
as
discriminate, or more so just complete discrimination for things that are in terms of the sport in the sport involvement.
yeah, like as I feel like as long as you don't put people down and it's more of like a okay, everybody's okay with like the jokes or whatever, that's probably okay. But like as far as just like tearing someone down and or a group down, that's not cool.
Yeah, and this as a whole also comes from like the complete like disrespect of fans as well.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've noticed that like we've had fans become like a lot more raucous over the last few years. I mean, obviously you get the people who are like streaking on the field, whether it be intentional or not. You've got fans getting into clashes with players on the floor, or
Well, like
where
even
Russell
if it's,
Westbrook's.
and it doesn't even have to be like about the your like gender either. Like there's like stuff that happens just in
Yeah, I mean,
other
there was stuff
issues
back in the
too, like
40s. There was stuff
racism and
back
stuff
in the
like
40s
that.
when baseball's color barrier was being broken.
Yeah.
Where things, yeah, it wasn't about so much your sexual orientation as it was your race.
Yeah, like heck, even the most recent one was when Jason Hayward was a Cub after being a St. Louis Cardinal. They were calling him racial slurs, like in the outfield. So I mean, it's not just that. Yeah. I kind of want to rotate into another segment so we don't get like too carried away, or not even
Oh
too
yeah,
carried away. Just
yeah. We definitely want to hit the well.
do we
Yeah,
want to end the
I mentioned the good. I think I mentioned the good already. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's time we go right into. Now that we've both gotten a little fired up, it's now time for the high heat.
I see what you
And
did
we're
there.
going to be throwing some major cheese as we will be, as of June, evaluating a few major things that have been going on in baseball.
Yes, sir.
And we will start from the lowest to the highest.
I'll start it
So,
off.
what is one major thing that gets an F?
Well, it's sadly my home team, the Kansas City Royals. They have kind of fallen off the bone, so to speak, when it comes to uh, player health, um, the lack of effort on offense, and the lack of effort on defense as a whole. This team has fallen off the bone so hard that they make the Oakland Athletics good.
And the Oakland Athletics right now have lost 2 more games than the Royals.
Also,
But they've also played 2 more.
The Royals have a better situation when it comes to their playing field and stuff like that too. Like the Oakland Athletics have a dumpster fire of a stadium, and I feel like they deserve a stadium or move more than the Royals do. Um, Especially because if they move over into the Power and Light District, parking's gonna be hell if it already hasn't been when it comes to trying to go to sporting events at T-Mobile Center or going to like other special events like for concerts and stuff. Like parking is always crazy because it's so like clustered. And even if they went to the river market, I don't see the parking being a very good thing because at Turner Sports Complex in Kansas City, the parking the parking situation there is a lot better compared to Power and Light. Because
Oh, yeah.
it's more spread out. Even though the parking is still claustrophobic, they still want to get more people in and out of there. Um, and I don't know. The Royals. The only reason I'm rating them as an F is because they've just had a lot of bad luck lately, and I've kind of tuned out whenever I see like notifications. Like I'm not at the beginning of the year. I was like really hopeful for the Royals, but right now they are looking worse than the Mets, and that's saying something. Cause yeah, especially with Vinny Pasquantino recently being sidelined for the rest of the season due to a shoulder torn labrum. That ain't good. And Samad Taylor recently got called up. Got the player that we got from the Whit Merrifield trade. He did pretty well the other day, doing a walk off double against the Angels, I think, or the Reds. I don't remember. I think it was probably the Angels. But anyways, yeah, the Royals are an F for sure. And now
The
we'll go to
Royals
D.
had a 10-game losing streak in June. But one of those teams, actually 2 of those teams that you ran into during that losing streak have been a talented Orioles team in the AL Beast and right now, the surging Cincinnati Reds. And so the Royals overall, and the Royals also have lost their last two. Their last two, 3 out of their last 4. And then as you even go back into that streak, they, prior to them winning on Saturday, they hadn't won since the 4th of June. So I think but then the Royals have such good talent, like good enough talent in certain positions, but not others.
Right.
I mean, the loss of Vinny Pasquantino does hurt them. But you still have Salvador Perez.
He's kind of
You
regressed.
still have who's now kind of regressing as he enters his age 33 season. You have Bobby, who's probably been one of the bright spots.
And he's been kind of hit or miss too. Like he's not really a slugger per se, but he's trying to find his way around the bat again, so to speak.
So I think right now it's more so just that the Royals they're just struggling.
They're lost.
And I don't know if this is more so a front office issue, a manager issue, or just players not being able to find their way. I wouldn't be surprised if you see here within the next month or so that if the Royals really wanted to go and completely blow the thing up and start over, that you see Salvi or Bobby get dealt.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that there's going to be teams that are going to be a little shortstop hungry.
I think if anything, they might go for Salvi first, and then work their way
I honestly
around.
would say you almost would see either one or even both get dealt.
I think more than likely it's either going to be Salvi or it's going to be a reliever like Scott Barlow or Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the D-.
And we've talked about the Oakland Athletics already too, and that's just a situation kind of waiting to dissolve. So let's move up into D. And I am going to kind of say that the major D for disappointment is the St. Louis Cardinals. Yes, the Cardinals are 30-43. They've had manager and kind of some players in the personnel have not necessarily been in the best agreements. They're just kind of that situation where some things are like oil and water. They just simply are not mixing. And if you add a little fire to it, something is going to combust.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think the mix with the not as good talent with the talent that is well known, like Arenado, Goldschmidt, and O'Neill and company, with like Burleson and like a few others. Like Gourmand's been pretty good. The one thing that's really hurt them is
Nolan
the
Gorman,
injury.
yeah, the talent's there. The talent is there in St. Louis. I just think the manager is the issue.
I also agree on that, but I think it also sucks that Lars Nootbaar is still out with back spasms and
I think
hasn't
Nootbaar's
returned.
back now. I think Nootbaar's back.
Well,
Or he's on the way back.
either way, that doesn't help their case. Also, they just been struggling a lot offensively because Arenado hasn't been great offensively like he used to be. Goldie's kind of carrying the team when it comes to slugging, and you got to have more from all of your guys in order to do more in this league, especially in that NL Central division too. Because like the NL East, yeah, that's powerhouse, but the NL Central, you gotta do better than that.
Well, and here's the thing about the NL Central. Despite the Cardinals being 30 and 43 right now, they're only 8 games out.
Yeah.
So so is hope really lost? No. But could this make some decisions quite interesting for St. Louis come around maybe the end of next month for deadline time? Absolutely. Especially if the Cardinals can try and kind of have that gap kind of close just a little bit more. Maybe be like about maybe even though they would be in last, like still be about 4, have everything still be about maybe 4, 5, 6 at most left. Like even if they close that gap at a net within about two games of where they're at right now, it could make the Cardinals be in a position to try and wheel and deal and really make a push.
Yeah.
Especially because that division is going to be tight.
All right, D plus.
I'm going with the New York Mets.
I agree. Money doesn't always buy you happiness, but when it does, it's usually when the talent is like prime. Example, like for example, when the Nationals signed Patrick Corbin in 2018 to 2019
Yes,
season.
there are times where, yes, I'm going to say it this way. There are times where it is necessary to spend money. But the real times where money benefits you is money saved and money well spent. And I believe that there are too many situations, especially over the last couple of years, where money has not necessarily been the most well spent
Cough, cough, Phillies, cough, cough.
in terms of the New York Mets. Where were you coughing about with that?
I was just saying in general with money, like overpaying for talent and or just paying a lot for talent, just in general, trying to make your team better, and then but I'm gonna stick with the Mets here for a second because
Yeah. We're kind of attacking that. And I'm gonna say really the first big one that I think I questioned whether or not it was really the best decision for them to spend that much for was Francisco Lindor.
I thought you were gonna go Mad Max because I feel like for the money that you paid for Mad Max, he hasn't been the healthiest. Yet he's also like one of the older pitchers in the league that's been very well oiled in most times, but also breaks
Yeah,
down from
more
time to time.
oftentimes he's taken good care, but in 2019 he was dealing with a back issue as he was closing out the World Series.
He was also
Um,
dealing with arm issues last year with the Dodgers, or no, it was 2021. He was with the Dodgers during a trade
yeah,
with the Nationals, and then he signed with the Mets last year. So like he
yeah,
was even having arm issues like in the middle and beginning of the season then too, and Degrom was
yeah,
still on the team too.
and you have, and even then they spent a lot on Degrom. But Max Scherzer at this point, he's in his age 38 season. You've got Justin Verlander who's pushing 40.
And he's been kind of hit or miss too when it came to the injury bug too. Like, and you spent way overspent on him too. I would say Lindor out of all this is like kind of like a budget exception. when you compare Verlander and Scherzer to that, and then also the um, other requisitions of talent, like Brandon Nimmo being extended. Like, he has not been the greatest, but recently he's heated up a little bit. Jeff McNeil is more of a budget case too, if you consider that.
Yeah.
And then like all these other talent acquisitions, like, yes, in some cases money can do that, but also when you extend Edwin Diaz, for example, too, like right now he is not
And
available
he's hurt.
because yeah.
And he's completely unavailable. I mean, the Mets have done absolutely very little, but the pitchers in the lineup, you have there are right now only 4 pitchers who are aged 30 or younger. And the oldest of that being Kodai Senga, who has been a mixture of whether he's been really figured out or that he really had effective stuff for the States at all.
I don't know. The Mets just I think they need to improve more on their offense as well, besides their defense. Because, like, yes, they had the pieces for relieving, but when Edwin Diaz went down, I feel like more of the load went on the rest of the squad that didn't really need to be there, but at the same time, they had to step up.
But I will say this also, the Mets are old.
Yes.
They are an old team. A team that has not necessarily had the best in terms of age. You have more players on the wrong side of 30 than you do players 25 and below.
I agree. C minus.
And so they are not only not built well for the short term, but they kind of lose a lot in the long term of it.
You ready for C minus?
Yep, C minus, and we will start. I'm gonna start out with the race in the AL Central. This race is
It's always been dude. I've been saying it from day one. The AL Central race has been absolute, like, a nothing burger. Because you have the Twins.
Well, the Royals already been in it.
Well, right. What I was going to say was you had the Guardians, which used to be the Indians. You had the Twins, which can't win a damn playoff game to save their life. Looking at you, New York. And then the White Sox, which they also can't really help themselves either. It's kind of a big ass game of
this
chicken.
This division race is like the NFC East in 2020.
Dude, it's like a big ass game of chicken. Like, no one wants to win it. They're just like, you could go ahead. No, you go first. No, you go first. No, you go first. No, you go first. Oh, we'll let the Twins take first in the AL Central, and because who cares? We'll just walk all over them. Especially if the Yankees get them in the wild card race, they'll just stomp their ass right then and there. It's just like, when are you gonna actually give a shit and win? I mean, yes, there's placeholder teams like the Yankees, for example. They're more of a placeholder when it comes to most likely being like a wild card team. There's like no doubt in my mind that they get into the wild card. They could have 20 people. They could have 20
team in the AL East could move to the AL Central and currently be in first place.
Oh yeah, they could wallop the crap out of anybody, but what I'm saying is the Yankees could literally have their whole like 40-man roster on the IL and still get to the wild card. I'm not joking. And then
yeah.
but back to the AL Central. I think The Twins still have a lot of work to do. The White Sox sure as hell need to figure themselves out because you have a injury-prone Eloy Jimenez, you have a semi-injury-prone Luis Robert, and you got Liam Hendricks that came back from cancer, which has now had like some forearm tightness or something like that, which he is kind of recovering back from. And then like you have Kendall Graveman, which is kind of regressed in a sense because he used to be pretty good with the Mariners and Astros, and then you have Joe Kelly, which is kind of regressed as well after being with the Dodgers and the Red Sox.
The Red Sox, yep.
I don't know. It kind of angers me that the AL Central race is like a big ass game of chicken, and it's sad that like the Guardians even were like a couple years back were like really good, and they had like these high hopes of playoff uh aberrations, and then it just went down the shitter once they lost in the divisional pretty badly against the Red Sox. Let's go to.
Okay, so I am not going to talk about the Chicago baseball teams here because we've kind of already nailed a
We'll
lot
still
of
talk
that.
about the Cubs, right?
The Cubs. The Cubs are 30-38, or 34-38. So they're kind of hanging around. I think I think I know of a better place for that. But another notable C minus. Do we want to talk about a team or do we want to talk about a league thing?
Let's say the league thing. What's I want to get this out of the way with the Padres first.
Yeah, the San Diego Padres, who are kind of in a very, very interesting state of flux in terms of being 2 games below 500. They've kind of fallen victim to something I'm going to talk about later.
Yeah.
But yet, this is another team who has pretty much just hoarded all the talent and been major spenders, yet at the same time, like, just because you have the money to spend doesn't mean that the players you're going to bring over are the best investment.
Right. And that started in 2018 when they acquired because in 2017 they acquired Manny Machado, and then it was Eric Hosmer, and then the next year after that
Extended Fernando Tatis Jr. I think they gave something to Fernando Tatis.
That was like a year ago. But like I'm talking about how it started and how it is. I was just
working it all along here.
Yeah, and then like they eventually
traded for Josh Hader, traded for Juan Soto. I think they signed Blake Snell.
Yep. Or yeah, something like that. I think they might have actually traded for him and then extended him, because it was the Rays that wanted to trade him, and then they've even gone for like players from the Royals like Trevor Rosenthal. They went for Tim Hill, still on the roster.
Xander Bogaerts.
Yep. And it's still a very rough spot. Like, even with all that talent, they haven't. The farthest they've gotten is probably the championship series. And even then, they didn't have enough to get over the hump.
Though it is normally said that Rome wasn't built in a day. But I think that the problem is that I think San Diego was thinking that they could. Rome wasn't built in a day, but they tried to build a super team that they could.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to get into the
C range? Yep.
No. I was talking about the pitch clock. If you want to talk about that.
The pitch clock. Yeah. Oh yeah, the pitch clock. That's been. We have openly expressed favor and disdain over this pitch clock, and it is net-wise the worst idea for certain things that MLB could have came up with.
I just think, I think it's semi-beneficial, but at the same time, it kind of hurts the game. But yeah,
It needs fixing. Let the mind games come a little bit more between the hitter and the catcher. Don't give like penalties for pitch count or pitch clock violations are becoming too ticky tack.
yeah.
Like hitters at the hitters in the show are not adapting well.
And even
to
some
this.
pitchers aren't adapting well, like Manoa. I don't know if it's just the pitch clock or what, but my God, he went from all-star pitcher to
To DFA'd.
Wait, he had designated for assignment.
I don't know if he got DFA'd or if he got sent down.
I last I heard he got sent down. I didn't know if he actually got DFA'd. Um, It says
Yeah, he
on
got.
CBS. It says 5 hours ago on CBS Sports that Blue Jays Alex Manoa close to minor league outing. Close to minor is slated to throw another simulated game Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think they're trying to get him back. They know he's got they know he's got next level stuff or top level stuff.
Yeah, and like he did really good last season. He was an all-star. And I had him drafted as one of my pitchers, and then he dove face first.
The pitch clock got him.
I don't know per se if that's the case, but I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's the pitch clock because he's such a cerebral pitcher in terms of on the mound.
Let's start going quicker on these. Let's go to C.
Yep. I have 3 teams here. I have the Philadelphia Phillies, the Seattle Mariners, and the Boston Red Sox.
I agree. The Phillies' offense has been hit or miss. Schwarber's heated up recently. I think if they keep it up, they can have good things happen for them. Pitching needs to step up a little bit more, but as far as Phillies go, I think they're sitting pretty.
The Mariners are a team that has done a lot of buying, but they're a team that's had a little bit more of a mixed bag compared to what the Mets and the Padres have had as terms of money well spent.
Robbie Ray being down can also really rub salt into the wound since he's down with the Tommy John, I believe, or maybe he was just.
And then Boston, its pitching has not executed, but offensively, it's been really, really good.
I think as far as pitching goes, they've had some bright spots. Like, yeah, James Paxton have a couple good outings recently. Chris Sale has been kind of hit or miss, but he's been somewhat decent.
Yep.
But yeah, like you said, offense has been good for the Red Sox. Yoshida has been.
Yep. And I have Masataka. I have Masataka Yoshida up a little higher on the board, as he could be a Rookie of the Year candidate. But
all right, and then do we want to go to C plus now, or do we have more?
C plus? C plus. I currently just have one team, and that is the Los Angeles Dodgers, as they're kind of hanging around, but kind of for where they were at, they still feel eh.
I think they regressed a little bit because they don't have Turner anymore. They don't have the Turner Bros anymore. They're not actually brothers, but I'm just saying that here because they're both on the same team. It just feels like a regression a little bit because their bullpen isn't as strong as it used to be either.
They've had to sell a little bit more than what you normally would think of in the past.
Yeah.
B minus. I have the NL East race, which is normally pretty good, minus the Nationals, and the Mets. The Pittsburgh Pirates, which they're now starting to come back down to earth,
Yeah.
but the Reds are surging.
Oh, for sure. India's
The
doing
Reds are
good.
surging.
Dude, Spencer Steer's monthly card on MLB The Show is deadly. Um,
And the Reds are currently in first place in the NL Central. They have won their last, I believe it's going to be 9. I believe it's now 9.
yeah.
And they just recently swept the Astros. So take that for what you will. At B, I have the Miami Marlins and Masataka Yoshida from the Red Sox as a Rookie of the Year candidate.
Yeah, the Marlins have been kicking ass. They putting a ruckus on that ass. B plus.
Surprisingly, the LA Angels. The LA Angels, I'm putting them at a B plus. I mean, the Houston Astros are kind of at a B plus because they're still kind of doing what they normally do. I probably could bring a Houston Astros down a little bit. But the Angels, they're just, it's like things are slowly starting to come together. The NL Central race is incredible right now.
Yes.
I definitely see that there. The Baltimore Orioles, I could even at this point right now jump them up to an A minus if I want. Because the youth movement in Baltimore is working.
They also need to stay healthy for sure. Like if
They
Batista
are
went
having
down.
fun. They are having fun in the dugout. They've got the bird bath. They're getting a sense of rhythm and fun and I very well could be saying this because this is probably the first time in almost 20 years that I could say this. Baltimore baseball is back. Baltimore baseball is back, baby.
I agree with that notion. Especially since you got the talent there. I'm just hoping that they don't have any big injuries come up.
I
Like
mean,
I don't.
major injuries could derail this whole thing, but you realize you're going to say that with just about anybody.
True. Like I hope
Like,
that Batista doesn't get hurt.
it doesn't
I don't.
matter what team it doesn't matter what team it is. Yeah, their bullpen duo of Bautista and Cano and Yenier Cano has been great. It's worked. But I think that Baltimore baseball, I'm really gonna say it, like it feels like the mid '90s again. I don't know if it's quite feeling like the '70s again, just yet. But it's feeling like you're picking up all that head of steam just like it's the mid '90s. Like they're right there.
Well, so in that case, what would you compare that to the 2014 Orioles when they were doing really well in the playoffs?
All the Bucktober stuff. I think that was a great year. But this is something that I'm more so talking like
As a whole.
Yeah, Baltimore is known for having like a year of success. Like this is all becoming of like a year of success. We're starting to see like sustained success.
Yeah.
There is a difference between we had an incredible year and we had a really good few year stretch. And really a lot of those years in the mid 90s, Baltimore was having a few years of like really, really good records. I mean, those were also the days where you had the later stretches of Eddie Murray, Cal Ripken Jr., Rafael Palmeiro, Eric Davis,
Miguel Tejada. Wasn't that usually later though? With Tejada?
Miguel Tejada was later. Miguel Tejada was early 2000s. The Miguel Tejada Brian Roberts stuff was like early 2000s. That's
Omar
a
Vizquel.
little. I don't think they had Omar Vizquel.
Or maybe I'm thinking the Asteris Bros because there were Cesar and Meiser, but Meiser was more of an angel.
I think you might be talking. I think the Isturises, I think, were a little different.
I think that
Yeah,
was like
I think we
2000s.
might have had the I think it might have been the Isturises, but I'll have to double check on the Isturises. But where I'm going with this is that the Baltimore Orioles, especially if this youth movement stays together and stays working together well, this is about five. So this is more about 5-10 years rather than, oh, we got it for 1 year. Oh, we got it for about 1 or 2 years. I'm thinking 5, 10. Especially if they continue to develop the farm system over time and have that do well with talent, that's 15 years, 20 years. You're having a farm system that can build homegrown talent. And if Baltimore can win a championship out of that, as for more of it being a built not bought system, it becomes a huge thing of knowing what homegrown talent is. And the 2018, I think it was especially the 2018 Sox, where they had Benny, Bogarts, Devers, Betts. That was homegrown talent. And homegrown talent, a good amount of times, especially when it's done well, it wins you World Series.
Yep. And the Royals went back to back with the homegrown talent as well, with Hosmer, Moustakas, Alcides Escobar. Well, he
Wasn't
was more
Lorenzo
of a
Cain
trade.
homegrown talent too?
He was also in the trade with Escobar, so no, because that was the Zach Greinke trade.
Was Cain a minor leaguer at the time?
I think he played a couple of games with the Brewers before he came over to us. I think he was a major league trade with the Escobar.
Yeah, because I'm like, if he's a minor leaguer and had some time in the minors before coming up, then yes, it could be considered a homegrown talent.
I wouldn't say Cain's homegrown. Because we gave up Greinke for him and Escobar, and then we had Infante through free agency. Um, Aoki was a free agent. Gordon had been homegrown for a while there. Moustakas
Yeah, I know
was
Alex
there.
Gordon was homegrown.
Perez.
I think Moustakas might have been too.
Yeah, he was. But yeah, like.
Yeah, homegrown talent wins you World Series. Is kind of the trend.
Or at least
I'm
gets
really
you there.
looking at. Or at least they'll get you contending. Yep.
All right, A minus.
And now we're into the last three, the A's. My first A minus is going to go to the guy that's now currently hitting 400.
Again.
Luis Ariz. He may not be hitting a lot of dingers, but does he really need to?
I mean, he doesn't have to be Big Al hitting dingers, but he sure is a hitter. There's a reason the Twins traded him for Pablo Lopez. They wanted to give the Marlins a consistent bat for a consistent ace.
Or the Marlins. The Marlins were probably wanting a consistent bat, and the Twins were wanting an ace.
Right.
But the Twins have been thriving off of their rotation, but it almost feels like it came at a cost.
Yeah.
My other A minuses are, as far as individual players, Ronald Acuna Jr. and Shohei Ohtani. And as far as a team and being able to get major hits when they count, and also has done surprisingly well with money well spent, minus DeGrom.
Talent. Yeah, I was going to say, because DeGrom just went out, and Evaldi's been doing good.
Yeah, you've had Evaldi, but over time it's been Corey Seager, Marcus Semien. Like, they've been buying talent. Like, they've been buying talent, but they've been getting actually talent that has produced.
like Josh Jung. Like in the beginning, he looked pretty rough as far as the
Wait, Josh
defensive.
Jung wasn't he homegrown too?
I
Isn't he homegrown for them?
That's probably a good assumption. Yes, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Here I'm double checking.
As far and then the rest of the Rangers lineup, like Adolis Garcia, that man is a beast.
Adolis Garcia, I think that the first place he had was that he was known for being built up there. Yeah, he hasn't played a whole lot.
Will
hasn't
Smith
done
has
a-
resurged as well over there. Not the slap Will Smith, but the former Brave that got traded to the
Yeah,
Astros that signed with
the pitcher. The
that
pitcher.
signed with the Rangers with a minor league deal, I believe, at the end of the offseason this year.
Yeah, Jung was homegrown. Jung was homegrown. Has only played in the majors with Texas.
Yeah. As far as Acuna goes, he's been red hot. Otani, I am so glad I have him as a hitter on my fantasy baseball because he's been crushing it. He did not, however, crush a home run on the Friday game I went to last weekend. I was a little butthurt about that, but it is what
Did
it
he
is.
pitch?
Nope. He was the DH. He just didn't have a good night hitting. I think he ended up like striking out a bunch. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Um, as far as our A's, we have the Arizona.
Stop.
Go ahead.
Go to the other ones. We'll work our way. To that one. As far as I'm going to start with Tampa Bay. I'm going to start with the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, they're an annoying team in my division. They're a thorn in our side, but you got to respect it.
I'm also kind of sick of Randy Arozarena doing like the arms cross thing. It's like,
okay, a Arozarena is a Arozarena. He gonna do his thing.
right?
But I think that the main props that I'm gonna have to give is to the potential Cy Young Award winner for the AL at this point. And the one that I would give it to at this point in the season, Shane McClanahan.
Who got it last season? Was it Verlander?
I think it was Verlander.
Because I think McClanahan was like a runner-up. But yeah, McClanahan really surged last season.
Yeah, it was Justin Verlander's third Cy Young, which McClanahan I think definitely is the odds-on favorite. Tampa Bay is doing well. Wander Franco has been an incredible player for them. Like everything that right now the Rays are touching at this point has been the Midas touch. It's turned to gold. They are a small market team that does a whole lot of things without spending a lot of money, but they invest it well in their players. They don't spend a lot, but they get the most bang for the buck. And that scares me. It is as a fan of a team in a rival AL East, that is a scary proposition.
Last two on the A.
Well, you have the Atlanta Braves, who obviously, this is obvious. The Braves are playing some of the best baseball in the NL right now. But the team that is closely right behind them, and the team that I consider the RKO team of the year, because they came from out of nowhere, the Arizona Diamondbacks.
I'm still amazed that they've gotten this far. Because I was thinking that the Diamondbacks were going to regress like they normally do, but they've kept up. Corbin Carroll's been really good. Lourdes Gurriel Jr.
Corbin Carroll has been the engine that makes that team go. He is the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That is what Corbin Carroll has been to the Arizona.
Dude, and then like and Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who was traded for Dalton Varsho, in the offseason
And-
has been very good.
And I will say that I even think for Toronto and Dalton Varsho going there, I think, is it fair to say that that trade has been win-win?
I think the defense of Gurriel is probably better than Varsho. Varsho has been very unlucky.
I mean, it's a you're trading. Whenever you trade players like that, you're going to trade off somewhere.
Right.
You're trading off somewhere, and you're giving a little bit of compromise. But have both sides benefited from the deal? If that answer is yes, it's a win-win. It's kind of like the Minnesota Vikings and Buffalo Bills with Stephon Diggs and Justin Jefferson. Buffalo trades away the pick that leads to Justin Jefferson to get Stephon Diggs, and Stephon Diggs still benefits in Buffalo more than he would in Minnesota. Sounds like a fair trade to me.
All right, last but not least, AL plus or A plus.
The AL plus being the AL East.
$15 a month for a subscription.
As every single team in that AL East has a winning record, including my who just picked up another dub against the Twins. We have taken 5 of 6 from the Yankees this year. And
as David Ortiz would say, the Yankees lose.
The Yankees lose.
And then, what else? Pickoff limit, or do we want to keep talking about?
The pickoff limit. I know we've talked about the pickoff limit already, but the reason why I said we would get to it later is because it's right there. It is probably the best thing that MLB has done with the new rules. The banning of the shift, I really don't have like a true opinion on it and where it really fits in terms of the grading system yet. But the pickoff limit has been the healthiest thing for action in terms of baseball and being able to get some things moving that we have seen in a long time.
I think it's a chef's kiss when it comes to the MLB rules.
It is the chef's kiss of MLB rules, and I don't think either of us, when we first were talking about it, realized it. And I'm talking like at first.
Yeah. Let's do the stud and dud and then talk about our prime time after.
Yes. I think that actually is a good idea.
All right.
And I am actually going to say, in speaking of baseball, for my stud and dud, I am actually going to use my stud first, and that is Reds first baseman Joey Votto, who yes, I have used Joey Votto for a stud at another point last season, but this time Joey Votto, he hit a home run and a 2-run go-ahead single in his first game back since August 16th, 2021. Joey Votto was out to repair his left bicep and rotator cuff. And I think we had mentioned him for a stud and talking about something else. I think it might have been like during the Field of Dreams week last year. Or something
like
around that time. But we've been at this podcast for a year, and I have and I think Ruckus would probably know that I've had a pretty good affinity for enjoying things involving Joey Votto.
Oh, for sure. He's good with the people, and I dig it.
And I wouldn't be surprised that even though his numbers may not show it, I think Cooperstown could be a good place for him. But my dud comes in the Orioles-Cubs game on Saturday night. as home plate umpire CB Buckner in the game on Saturday, pretty much at the top of the ninth. It was like near the end. He lost track of the count. He was a ball behind, lost track of the count, as it was really ball four. Everyone else knew it. Austin Hayes ended up on first base, but that extra base runner did not count as the Orioles lost 3-2. But come on, Blue. Get it together. But my honorable mention, I will let you go, and then my honorable mention, and us like just straight up roasting a certain ex NFL receiver.
Yeah.
I
Alright.
will let you go.
Alright, so for my stud this week, I have Christian Braun, or Brown, as people call him. I think it's Brown. But it could be, it's spelled like Braun, like Ryan Braun.
I think they were pronouncing it as Brown.
Christian Braun winning 2 consecutive championships, one in the NCAA last year and the NBA Finals this year. And then my honorable mention is now 4 members of the 2008 KU basketball team have now won NBA titles on their belt, as Darrell Arthur now has a championship with the Nuggets. And I believe Darrell Arthur is one of the extra coaches or like staff that's on, because the last thing I saw from him as far as stat wise was from 2018, and it's that was 5 years ago.
Because the other ones there would be Mario Chalmers. Because Mario Chalmers obviously won one with the Heat. Brandon Rush didn't get one. As far as those other 08 Jayhawks. I just can't think of the other two. I knew Chalmers was one of them. As far as the ones that have won NBA titles.
Andrew Wiggins. Wait, no, he was in 2008.
Wiggins was in 08. You said 4. Saying Darrell Arthur. It was Mario Chalmers. But we'll get to that at another point. Go ahead and go with your dud.
Alright, my dud is, in my opinion, this is a dud because this doesn't really help anything. It's just more of awareness. But athletics fans actually going to Rickey Henderson Field to protest owner John Fisher, because John Fisher wants the capacity of the stadium to be limited so that fans don't go into the stadium for whatever reason. And athletics fans actually went and protested in a different way of saying, hey, we matter, this and that. And honestly, I think it's a dud because I feel like it's more of a publicity stunt, obviously, but I don't think it matters to the owner, and I feel like it was more just you're just putting money in his pocket either way.
Yeah, but I think it's also that reverse boycott to try and... They're wanting to try and keep the athletics in Oakland. They don't want them to go. I think that's why they're trying this reverse boycott.
Yeah, but you gotta realize that even though the team isn't in the best of shape money-wise and as far as their home field is,
yeah,
they get it's up to the owners to decide stuff, and yes, the people have a little bit of a say in that, but at the end of the day, it goes to the people that have that own it and the politics around it too, that like the city and whatnot.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Anyways,
but our roasting of a receiver, the honorable mention dud, probably for both of us, but I put it under mine. Antonio Brown, who eventually became a majority owner of the Albany Empire, had his team kicked out of the National Arena League for not paying what was either an entry fee or a fine he had received after some comments he had made to the public.
He also never really paid the owner, not even the ownership. He didn't even pay his staff or the players for like weeks.
It
Were,
was,
like, and then he blamed everybody but himself on that too. He was like, "Oh,
what in the world?"
there's a video from Urinating Tree. Shout out to U Tree, talking about the collapse of the Albany Empire. It's actually kind of hilarious and also very, very sad. He ends up firing the coach before the season starts that had won a bunch of championships with that arena football team, and then after a couple of games fires the interim coach and brings back the coach that was actually doing everything, and then blamed that same coach, and also didn't pay those players for like weeks on end, and then cut like all the good players.
It's what in the world is this guy doing?
Dude needs help. And Antonio Brown, I know you don't listen to this, but for the love of God, get some damn help.
CTE's a real thing.
Well, also being an arrogant
CTE.
asshat is also another thing. There's people that have CTE that are very well mannered and don't act like Kanye West. That act. And then
this dude's Kanye West in a football uniform.
Dude, this guy, well, Antonio Brown's just a whole nother dum-dum. Like, T.O. is one thing, but at least T.O. is more well-mannered than this guy. Antonio Brown is like if you gave a gremlin, like, some hard drugs.
What?
Just saying.
I know, granted, T.O. would say that he loves him some him, but what in the world? What in the world is with us in these like weird comparisons? I mean, I talked about Homer Simpson and Donkey from Shrek having a baby together and Draymond Green. Now we're talking about giving gremlins hard drugs and describing Antonio Brown?
I mean,
What
there's
are
no
we
way to
coming
really.
to, man?
Okay, there's no way to really describe Antonio Brown in a one way, though. Let's be honest.
I thought Kanye West with in a football uniform would have
That's
been
pretty good one.
sufficed.
I don't know. I'm just mad at the fact that I just don't understand.
There's your title. There's your title. Kanye West in a football uniform.
All right.
Go ahead and take us out, Ruckus.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Ruckus and Menace Sports Podcast, episode number 59. I am Ruckus.
And I'm Menace the Menace.
See y'all later. And also, before we leave, we have a preview of the primetime game.
We are going to do our preview.
And it is called, our theme for the next episode is going to be, or whenever we do it.
Theme Team Showdown. With our theming for this being the Wheel of MLB Divisions. So the concept here, for each position, we will be doing a catcher, first base, second base, third base, shortstop, left, center, right, and designated hitter. All 4 bench spots. Everybody in your rotation and everybody in your bullpen. So, in short, Ruckus, what I'm doing with this is that your bench is grouped, your rotation is grouped, and your bullpen is grouped. So, if you have, so say you spin the wheel and you end up getting the NL East and you put them in your rotation, all of your rotation players must be NL East players.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be like a specific team.
It is not a specific team. Because we are playing by exclusively divisions.
Okay.
Your bullpen will be full of players from a division. Your bench your 4-player bench slot will be filled with players from that. And hopefully even and if you earn players that potentially fit in this, great. If not, it's quite all right. So what this will do is that this will limit out any free agent WBC players. So if your WBC players do not have a team designation, we cannot use them.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll reveal those rosters episode 60, I believe, or whenever we do.
Yes, episode 60, which will be on the next episode, and the results of the game will be spoken upon in episode 61, and the video evidence of the game being played will be on our Ruckus and the Menace YouTube channel.
That's correct. All right. With that out of the way, thank you for listening to Ruckus and the Menace Sports Podcast, episode number 59. I am Ruckus.
I'm Menace the Menace, and tune in on to the next episode. Deuces.
See ya.